Today we're going to take a look at what cabinet grade paint has the most durability, scratchability. What happens is, if you've painted kitchen cabinets before, you've probably found that not all the cabinet grade paints or premium grade paints hold up the same. We have oils on our finger, we touch the cabinets, eventually the oils from our fingers stay on the paint, they actually seep through the paint, and they can break the bond that is there between the lacquer finish that came from the factory, and it scratches off pretty easily. Customers aren't happy, nobody's happy about that. We want to find out which cabinet grade paint has the greatest durability. Before I go into it, I'd just like to say that Klappenberger Son is franchising. We're franchising across the country. If you're interested in franchising with us, that's great. We'd love to hear from you. Please visit our website and fill out the contact information. So, interestingly enough, I also wanted to see if there was a difference in primers. I've always been big on shellac primers because I've been told that they actually fuse with the lacquer finish that comes from the factory. So I said, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a lacquer finish on the back side of the cabinets, and I want to do a oil primer on the front. And then I took 7 different paints. 3 of the paints were Benjamin Moore. We tried Aura, Advance, and Command. We tried only one Sherwin-Williams paint, which is Emerald Urethane Gloss. We didn't use the satin or the semi-gloss. I wanted to see how a gloss would hold up. We did 2 Pittsburgh paints, and both of them were satin finishes. We did Ultra Last, which is a new paint, very high-end paint, and we also did Breakthrough. In the last one we tested it a couple different ways, 3 different ways. It's called C2, and you can only get it maybe online or at some independent paint stores. You're not going to get it at the big box stores or Sherwin-Williams. And the C2 is specifically made for cabinet grade paint. I did it just straight C2. I did also a sample with C2 with a latex conditioner added to it to help make it flow on easier and self-level better. And I also added a hardener. C2 actually sells a hardener that you can add to the paint and makes it even more durable. So I wanted to see if there was a difference with or without the hardener. I put 1 coat on, let it dry a day, because Advance takes 16 hours to dry in between coats. So I gave everybody a day to dry in between coats. And then after I put the 2nd coat on, I let the paint sit for 28 days to cure, to get nice and hard, because again, Advance takes 28 days to cure. So I gave everybody their due. Then what I did is I took some Crisco, wiped it on a rag, and just wiped the whole cabinet, both sides, with Crisco. Let that sit for about a week, and I just start scratching it and to see which ones hold up and which ones don't. And there was only one that scratched off in the first week or 2, and that was Sherwin-Williams Urethane Gloss. Again, it wasn't the satin or the semi-gloss, it was the high gloss. It wasn't until 8 weeks later that another one came off. The second one that came off was the Pittsburgh Breakthrough. But now it's been 13 weeks and I'm doing some scratching and I'm starting to get a little bit more action. A few other ones are starting to fall off, and I thought I'd show you what they are. Okay, with this is the shellac primer side, and with the C2 hardener put on there, you can't scratch it off, you can't pick it off. What I mean by picking it off, I mean that if you really work at it, you can find a spot that where it could come off, but if you scratch it, it's fine. Even here on the Breakthrough by Pittsburgh, it doesn't scratch off. I can't pick it off, but I can on the oil, if it was primed with oil, which I'll show you when I flip it over. The Command also is scratch proof, picking proof. The C2 with no hardener, I did find one little spot where I could, if I was able to, maybe it's just unfortunate for the C2 that I found a little spot, but I found one little spot. If I pick at it hard, it did come off. This is the one without the hardener. This is the one with the hardener, and I couldn't find any spot for that to come off. Over here we have a couple Benjamin Moores. We have the Advance. This one was really hard and durable. You can still feel some oil on there, but it is not scratching off or picking off. The Aura did unfortunately have a little bit of picking off there that I was able to do.
The emerald urethane is, even on the shellac side, is very weak. It just scratches off. Notice though that the shellac primer underneath of it stays on there. And the Ultra Last by Pittsburgh over the shellac primer does really, really well. And I'll just fill you in. It also did really well on the oils. Let me flip this over. Starting off with the Ultra Last, I was not able to pick it off or scratch it off. The Advanced, same thing. Very durable, very hard. Can't pick it off, can't scratch it off. C2 with conditioner, didn't have a hardener, did have a conditioner in it, and I was able to pick it off. But if I scratch it, it really doesn't, scratches off maybe a little bit, but that's kind of picking. If the paint isn't coming off on my fingernails like it does with Breakthrough. See that? That's paint coming off, scratches off. This is picking off, this is scratching off. When I add the C2, the hardener to the C2, I'm not able to pick it off or scratch it off. I've done this like 30 times. This is the oil primer, just oil primer, and that does bond, ironically, that does bond to the lacquer finish from the cabinets. The Bend More Command. It's also very durable. I know you see some scuff marks here. This is very durable. It doesn't scratch off, it doesn't pick off, but and here's the C2 with no hardener and no paint conditioner on it, and it does scratch off too. I mean, I'm sorry, it picks off, it doesn't scratch off. The Aura picks off, it does not scratch off. And the worst one of the bunch is the Sherwin-Williams Emerald. That scratches off very easily, the paint comes off. You can see though that the oil primer is still holding on there. The Sherwin-Williams is the weakest one. It started to be able to be scratched off in about a week or two. The Breakthrough took about 11 weeks before I could scratch it off. And then these guys here started to be able to be picked off in week 13.
And this is where we are after 13 weeks. I will continue to scratch at it and pick at it and to see which one of the paints of those last 4 still are holding up. I will probably put out a new video as things begin to change, so make sure you subscribe and give us a like while you're at it, and that way you'll be left in the know. Very important stuff. Which paint is the most durable, which cabinet paint is the most durable. We're going to also be taking a look at which ones self-level the best and which ones are the easiest to work on as well. All important factors. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.